Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be recreating a Oscars makeup look that really stood out to me, Cara Delevingne. Her makeup was done by Hung Van Gogh and he is one of my favorite makeup artists. I think he is so incredibly talented. To be completely honest, most of the time Cara's style isn't really like the most inspirational to me. It's not really my vibe, but this year on the Oscars red carpet, she looked so good. I loved her dress. Her hair and makeup was just beautiful. And as soon as I saw her look, I knew I had to recreate it. So I'm going to show you how I achieved this look. But before we get into it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any future videos. And let's get right into it. Okay, so all I have on right now is brows. On my brows, I have the new Revela eyebrow gel in the shade dark brown, and I really like it. I'll use it in a video coming up soon, but usually I'm not a big fan of tinted brow gels, but this one's really cool. Very different than any tinted brow gel I've ever tried. And then on my actual brows to fill them in, I use the Hourglass little micro brow pencil. I'm gonna link everything I used down below, so if I mention something or don't mention something, you can find everything I used down there. So I don't have anything on my face right now except for the Elemis face oil. I just wanted to keep it really minimal, and this oil is so nice underneath makeup, so I just went with it. I'm gonna go in with one of my favorites. This is the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation in the shade Siberia. I'm going with this foundation because it gives you a really nice flawless finish, but it still looks like skin. It gives you like a satin kind of finish, so not too matte, not too glowy. It lasts a long time. And yeah, this is just a really perfect foundation for any event. I love this one. I'm just using one pump of that and I'm applying it with my Hourglass foundation brush. I love this foundation for a lot of reasons. I actually made a video not too long ago about all of my favorite foundations, so I will put that in the corner here if you guys want to watch that one. But yeah, this is one of my favorite foundations, and I don't typically gravitate towards foundations, but since we're doing more of a glam kind of event makeup, this is definitely one that I reach to often. As always, I'm just working in really thin layers. You don't want to go in too heavy-handed, especially with foundation. You want to be light-handed and just build up the coverage only where you need to, because it's going to give you the most natural finish. Always blend your foundation down your neck and onto your ears. I am extremely pale right now, so this foundation is a little bit yellow on me, but I think once we add bronzer and blush and all that stuff, it'll be just fine. Moving on, I'm going in with concealer. I'm using one of my favorite concealers. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Light 1 Chantilly. I'm gonna apply this in all the areas that I want to brighten. So I'm gonna go under my eyes, in the center of my forehead, a little bit on the nose, chin, and a little bit around my mouth as well. I'm going to blend my concealer out using a beauty blender. Okay, so now I'm using a product that I've never used before. This is by Tower 28. This is their Sculptino Cream Bronzer in the shade Broad. I'm honestly a big fan of Tower 28 as a brand, so I'm really excited to try this cream bronzer out. I'm just going to use my Rephr 04 brush and pick up a little bit of that product. And I'm just going to start pressing that right into the hollow points of my cheeks. All right, so this is blending pretty easily, very creamy, although I feel like it's kind of sticking to my skin a little weird right here. I don't know if you guys can tell. I do have a little bit of texture going on there, so maybe that's why. I'm gonna try and layer it a little bit to see if I can figure that out. This is definitely a little bit warmer than I would typically go for. I usually like to go for something a little bit cooler as contour. I didn't think it would look this warm on the skin. Okay, so I've added a little bit more product in this area. It's kind of helped the patchiness a little bit, but I can still see it. I don't know if it's picking up on camera, but I wonder why that's happening. This bronzer is also quite dewy, which is interesting. Typically, I like my bronzers to be a little bit more on the matte side. I don't think I've used a very dewy bronzer before. All right, I feel like this side blended out a little bit better. Maybe it's just because I have some texture going on right here that there was a bit of an uneven blend, but this side looks a lot better actually. I'm gonna press a little bit of that bronzer on the sides of my nose, not being too precise with this, just kind of tying that bronzer all together. So I think I'm gonna put a bit of a pause on the base and I'm gonna move on to eyes. To prime my lids, I'm going to use this Laura Mercier Caviar Eye Stick color in the shade Au Naturel. This is just a really beautiful, light, warm-toned kind of mauve-y color that looks really good all over the eye. And I'm just putting it all over my lid just like this, and then I'm gonna blend it out. So this is gonna create a really solid base for us to build on top of later when we go in with powder shadows, and it's also gonna give those shadows a little bit of something to adhere to that'll make the colors more intense and it'll make them last longer. I feel like the shade is kind of similar to MAC Painterly in the sense that it's kind of a pinky shade, but it's quite similar to my skin tone. It's a little bit darker, so it does give a little bit of dimension on the lids, which is perfect. I'm actually gonna apply this to my lower lash line as well. All right, so going in with some shadow now, I'm going to use this one from the PatMcGrath Mothership Iconic Infatuation palette. I'm using the shade Bare Venus, and I'm just gonna be running that through my crease just to begin to build some depth. I'm also gonna run that shade along my lower lash line as well. I'm not being too precise on the lower lash line because in the photos of Cara's makeup, it looks like the bottom lash line is pretty smoky and blended out. So I'm not keeping it too tight to my lash line. So now I'm gonna start building up some depth on the outer corners. I'm reaching for my Natasha Denona Retro palette and dipping into the shade Go Go, which is just kind of like a warm pinky tan shade. And I'm using that to start to darken the outer corners of my eyes. I'm also sweeping that into my crease and just really melting those colors together. So I'm liking where this is going, but I think I need a tiny bit more depth. In the photos of Cara, it looks like she's got a little bit of something darker on the outer corners. So I'm just gonna take the tiniest amount of the shade Endearment from the PatMcGrath palette, and I'm just gonna press that on the outermost part of my eyes and just build a little bit more dimension in my eye socket. So I'm going in with a super light hand and just pressing that shade on the very outer corner of my eye. That little bit of dimension on this eye here is exactly what I wanted. Nothing too crazy, but enough to just give the eye a bit more of that dramatic effect. So going back into my Natasha Denona palette, I'm picking up the shade Vivian, and that's gonna be my all over lid color. It's really pretty, kind of like ballet slipper color, has a little bit of shimmer in it. It looks very similar to what Cara is wearing. So I'm gonna layer a little bit of glitter in the centers of my eye, and I'm going to use the PatMcGrath Forever Adored shade in this palette, and I'm just gonna apply a very sheer amount of that. That little bit of shimmer we added is really going to draw a bit of extra attention to the eyes and really catches the light beautifully. Okay, so I'm going to start layering some cream liners to build some depth on the lash line. Starting off, I'm going in with this one from Victoria Beckham Beauty. This is in the shade Bordeaux, and this is a really beautiful, deep, like wine red color. I'm going to apply this on my top lash line and blend it out. I'm also going to apply that in my lower waterline. So what I've done is I've smudged it out and applied it a little bit thicker on my outer corner. and kept it a little tighter to my lash line the closer I came to my inner corner. And I actually didn't bring it all the way to the inner corner. I brought it in about 2/3. And you want most of the color to be concentrated right at the lash line, and then the rest of the color diffused upwards. So now I'm just going to apply that same color in my tight line and also in my waterline. Okay, so usually I don't love the way my lower lash line looks filled in, but this color is actually really pretty and it definitely makes the green in my eyes pop. To intensify that lash line even more, I'm going in with a black liner. This one's by Makeup Geek in the shade Obsidian. And we're just gonna focus this on the outer corners and we're gonna do the same thing, kind of buff it out, make it a little smoky looking. And for this liner, we're gonna do a little bit of a wing. All right, I think I like the way that's looking. This really doesn't have to be too precise because we're gonna blend it out. So I'm just using a pretty small angled brush to blend that black liner out. This liner blends so good. This one might be sold out on Makeup Geek. I know the last time I went on their website, there was a few colors of this liner on there. If you can get them, definitely get them while you can because these liners are so good. They blend like a dream and the colors that they come in are really, really beautiful too. So I don't want to go for too crazy of a wing, but I do want that kind of like cat eye effect and I want it to be big enough that you'll still be able to see it when I put my falsies on later. So I'm liking the way that is looking. And as you can see, what we want is that black kind of bleeding into that red color there. You really just want these to melt together. Oh, I'm loving this eye look so far. I think it looks so good. All right, so that's what the eyes are looking like. I think before I do lashes and mascara and all of that, I'm just gonna apply a little bit of inner corner highlight. I'm gonna use the lightest shade in my PatMcGrath palette and use that as inner corner highlight. This is so beautiful for an inner corner highlight. It kind of has a little bit of like a rose gold tone to it. It's really flattering. All right, so time for mascara and lashes. For mascara, I'm using the Lancome Lash Idol mascara. I just got another tube of this and it is probably one of my favorite mascaras. This and the Tower 28 mascaras are just, they're the best. This one is a little bit more like natural vibes. So since I'm wearing falsies, I don't want my lashes to be like too voluminous and not blend with the falsies. So this is the perfect mascara to do that. I'm just going to apply one nice even layer. I'm applying a thin coat of that mascara to my bottom lashes as well. And I think for this look, a strip lash was used, but just a half lash. So I'm gonna go in with these ones from Velour. These are their effortless lashes in the style Minimalist. And I'm just gonna pop these on my outer corners. All right, so that is the eyes complete. Now I'm gonna finish off my base. I think I'm gonna be layering a little bit of powders over cream, so I'm gonna apply a very tiny amount of cream blush. I'm using this one by Rare Beauty. This is in the shade Hope, and these are like the most pigmented blushes ever, so you only want like the tiniest amount. I might end up putting a little more. I'm just always a little hesitant with these because they are so pigmented. It is literally crazy. I don't know, actually. That might just be the perfect amount. I really just want a tiny amount of blush. It doesn't look like Cara's wearing a ton of blush in the photos, but I am going to be layering blush on top of this, so I definitely don't want to go overboard. All right, so I actually don't think I'm going to add more of that cream blush. I'm going to go in with powders now. So to set my cream contour, I'm going to go in with this bronzer by Fenty Beauty. This is their Instant Warmth bronzer in the shade Into Sun. Clearly, I'm a big fan of this bronzer. It's quite used up, but the color is just perfect, and this blends so good. This is just a solid powder bronzer. So for blush, I'm gonna go in with this really cool palette by NARS. I believe this was limited edition. This is their Rising Star Cheek palette, and I'm gonna go in with the shade Limelight. This is just a really pretty, dusty rose color. All right, I have to resist adding more blush because I have a blush obsession and I really don't want to go overboard. I almost forgot I need to set under my eyes. I'm going to go in with my Laura Mercier Secret Under Eye Brightening Powder. This is my favorite powder. Absolutely love it. I feel like this powder is so underrated. This is the best under eye powder in my opinion. So I'm just going to tap my under eyes out with a beauty blender just to make sure there are no lines before setting under my eye. And then picking up that powder using a powder puff, I'm just going to start pressing that powder right under my eyes. This just brightens and smooths the under eye so much. And it's not heavy at all. It's so finely milled. This powder does a really good job as well at preventing my concealer from creasing. This keeps my eyes looking so good all day long. I just feel like that makes a huge difference. For lips, I love Cara's lip combo, and the lip liner actually kind of looks like one of my favorite liners, MAC Whirl Lip Liner. I love this lip liner and it looks very similar to what she is wearing, so that's what I'm gonna go in with today. I'm gonna overline slightly. I'm also just going to take this lip liner and fill in the lips. So using this custom lip palette that I created, I'm going to go in with the shade Shanghai Spice by MAC, and I'm just going to apply that right in the very center of my lips. And this is just a really pinky, kind of peachy shade. And then to finish off the lips, I'm just going to apply a little bit of gloss. All right, so that is it for today's Oscar-inspired makeup look. What do you guys think? Do you think I captured the essence of Cara Delevingne's look? Comment down below. And also let me know if there are any other celebrity makeup looks from this year's Oscars that you'd like me to recreate. I saw a few that caught my eye, so definitely comment down below. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and also hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.